All right, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, thanks for joining us this afternoon. I wanted to point out a couple of things in the GoToWebinar client here before we get started. Everybody is in listen-only mode. As I said, if you want to ask a question, feel free to use the question area of the GoToWebinar software. We'll be taking those throughout the presentation and then also leaving some time at the end for question and answer as well. You also might want to use the full screen mode to get a little bit more screen real estate to see the presentation. And if you do have any problems throughout the presentation, go ahead and hit the raise your hand button in the GoToWebinar client. That'll let us know that you're having some issue, and we'll make sure to help you out. So I am Dave Buggy with Behringer Associates, and a little bit about Behringer before we get started for those of you that aren't familiar with us. We are a IT services company based in New Jersey and a specialist in implementing CRM solutions, particularly for the distribution industry. So we've got about 21 years of experience in technology as a whole and helping distributors get more out of technology investments. We have just about 15 years of experience implementing CRM solutions, so lots of best practice info to share, and seen a lot done with CRM over the years and what works and what doesn't, and so forth. We are a Microsoft Gold certified CRM solutions partner as well, so we partner at the highest levels with Microsoft for their CRM technology. And we were awarded Microsoft's Industry Partner of the Year for Wholesale Distribution in 2013, kind of further underscoring our commitment to the distribution industry and toward bringing CRM into that industry. We also offer a product. It's called CRM for Distribution. It's an extension of Microsoft's CRM developed specifically for wholesale distributors. So it's a collection of a lot of different functionality that's been developed over the years around the needs of distributors, workflows and dashboards and special reporting and so forth. And it is an extension of the base Microsoft CRM platform that turns it into a solution that was developed specifically around the CRM needs of distributors. So today we're not going to be looking at that solution. We might show a couple screenshots. If you'd like a full demonstration of CRM for distribution, please reach out. We'll go ahead and get that scheduled for you. And also a part of the solution suite that we offer is DataSync Cloud, which is our cloud-based ERP and CRM integration platform that integrates your ERP system with CRM. So just by way of mention, we will be, as I said, probably showing a couple screenshots just for context, but we won't be going through the actual solution today. So what we're here to talk about today is a topic that's probably on most of your minds, is Amazon and their launch of Amazon Supply, and kind of what they're doing in the market, and also then how you can compete with somebody like Amazon as they enter the distribution space. So I thought we'd kind of start with a look at the market, which really tells us why Amazon is so interested in this space. The business is about a $7.2 trillion business as a whole. And in the USA, there are about 35,000 distributors. Most are 50 million or less, and there are about 160 distributors that are over $1 billion in sales annually. So Amazon, obviously, with the infrastructure they have built out for logistics, looked at distribution and thought it would be a great market for them to get into, being that they have all the infrastructure already built out. So kind of the dollars and the size of the industry and so forth drew them and drew their interest to the industry. So a little bit about Amazon is that their site is AmazonSupply.com. If you haven't been on there, I would highly encourage you to go spend some time on the site, kind of see what they're doing and how the site works and so forth. But it launched back in April of 2012, and they did so with an acquisition of a distributor called Smallparts.com. And initially, they offered about 500,000 products. They were mainly in the office equipment and industrial supply spaces. And if you go out and look at the products on their site, you'll notice that they've grown beyond that pretty significantly. I think it's interesting as well that they're still in beta with AmazonSupply.com. So they haven't even officially launched the offering yet. Currently, they have about 2.2 million products, so you can see that extreme growth in just a couple of years from the initial offering of about 500,000 products, and now they're covering about 17 different product categories. And just for context, the average distributor that sells online offers about 50,000 products online, so big difference there. A couple of unique offerings that they have is 365-day return policy for customers. I don't know of any of my customers that offer a year-long return policy. Definitely something that is setting Amazon apart, or they're trying to use to set themselves apart on this customer support side. They also offer 24-hour delivery. They have free 2-day shipping on orders over $50. They have 40 U.S. fulfillment centers around the country, offer corporate lines of credit, and also a dedicated customer service center. And I thought it was interesting that when Amazon Supply launched, that shares of MSC and other big distributors like Ranger and Fastenal, they fell by 13 to 15% on speculation that Amazon was going to have a pretty big impact in the space as a whole. And of course, if you've ever bought anything off Amazon, which I'm sure everybody on the call probably has, they're the pioneer in using transactional and predictive analysis in their sales cycle. So if you go on Amazon and you look at a couple of products, they will retarget you, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. They will also show you items that you may be interested in based on either past history or other people in what items they've bought with other items, and show those to you as you're shopping on the Amazon site. So they do a great job overall of just utilizing data in their sales cycle. So like I said, if you haven't been out on their site, I would highly encourage you to do so, kind of get a feel for what they're offering out on the web. It's a very clean and user-friendly site. Probably the two ways that I would describe it, very clean and user-friendly. They also, though, have phone ordering available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. throughout the week. And then also, they have phone ordering available on weekends from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So definitely something unique, I think, as well. They have a tremendously robust search engine on their site, and they also offer the ability to have images and CAD drawings and videos and related items or item list functionality on their site. And they, of course, have really good order tracking and status. If you've ever ordered from just regular Amazon, it's one of the things that they've done well from day one is really keep the customer informed as to what's happening with the order. So again, I definitely highly recommend that you go out and take a look and cruise through the site a bit. You'll get a feel for how the site's laid out, what kind of items they offer, and so forth. So one of the things that Amazon does extremely well is they dominate search results. So if you take a couple items that you're looking for that Amazon or Amazon Supply sells, plug them into Google or a search engine, and you'll find that Amazon is going to lead the search results in most of those items. So they've done that exceptionally well from day one. So the example here that I have on the screen was a certain part. It was a scientific adapter that I did a Google search on. And you can see that the first two links reported back by Google were for Amazon. And that's above even the manufacturer of the item. So they do extremely well with search results. And that's a threat because as people look for items and look for products out on the internet, Amazon, if they're targeting that product line, are probably going to show up #1 on the search engine results. So definitely something to think about there. And if you're not sure if Amazon is offering some of your items that you offer, type them into Google. Type in the manufacturer's part number. You'll find out real quick. Or go to Amazon Supply site or even Amazon directly and enter the part numbers, and you'll see if they're carrying some of the parts that you may be concerned about. So I mentioned that another thing that Amazon does is what's called retargeting. So as I was preparing for this presentation, I was out watching a video on the internet related to Amazon Supply, and you'll notice that over on the right as I was watching that video, Amazon retargeted me and showed me an item that I had previously looked at on AmazonSupply.com. So retargeting, basically, it just follows you on the web and persistently shows you information about things you may have previously looked at. So because I was looking at that item, even though I'm on a completely different site now, I was on a site called Dailymotion, they have sponsored ad space on a lot of sites out on the internet, and they're retargeting me and trying to get me to come back and take a look at that item and purchase it, obviously. So you'll notice that as you spin around through Amazon and Amazon Supply, and then you go to other sites, they're doing some retargeting, and it can be pretty effective. If you're not doing that on your own sites, something you might want to take a look into. So the nice thing that I've noticed is that with Amazon Supply is that some of the items, and most of the items actually that I took a look at, are not only available through AmazonSupply.com, but you'll find them available on Amazon.com as well. And the reason I think that they're doing that is obviously Amazon has much wider reach and much wider notability than Amazon Supply. There are still quite a few people that don't know what Amazon Supply is, so they probably may never even go there to look for an item. But a lot of people know what Amazon is. So they're cross-pollinating the items between Amazon Supply and Amazon, and selling some items that were available only previously through specialty suppliers. So definitely a threat, even in the kind of specialty item area that they're growing into now. That definitely is a concern to a lot of the customers that I deal with. A little bit about stock and availability and pricing. Amazon stocks more than 50% of the items that is offered on AmazonSupply.com. So they're stocking over 1 million items. Definitely interesting. They are about 25% lower than the rest of the industry on common items, and that's through a few research studies that have been done on Amazon Supply. They found out that they're about 25% lower. And their scale obviously is very well suited to compete in a high-volume, low-margin business. You think about their Amazon business, it's absolutely built out for high volume, low margins, taking cost out of processing the transaction and getting the price as low as possible is really how Amazon's got to where they are today. If you think about who is standing in the way of Amazon Supply, one of the big barriers is Grainger. Grainger is a $9.4 billion business. They have a very robust e-commerce site that they launched, well before Amazon Supply was ever even thought of, back in 1995. But what's really interesting here is that it only represents about 33% of their business. So even though Grainger is, really adopted e-commerce and had an offering in market since 1995, they're still only doing 1/3 of their business through their e-commerce site. So it shows us that we are able to compete and have a healthy business outside of an e-commerce offering, and this kind of further underscores that. They also offer 24-hour delivery. They've got 700 sales branches and about 33 distribution centers. And then, thinking ahead in some research that have been done, how's Grainger looking to compete against Amazon? Well, one of the ways is that they're launching some mobile apps that they feel is going to really put their technology and their e-commerce technology right in the hands of buyers. So they're releasing some pretty slick mobile apps to their e-commerce site. And also loyalty programs. So they're looking to bolster their repeat business to with their customers by offering some rebate and loyalty programs. And I think that's obviously a pretty strong way to think about competing with a commodity-based competitor like Amazon. So a few things that they're doing to compete. So what's your strategy? I think this quote was interesting. It was by Oliver Wyman. They did a big study on Amazon and Amazon Supply that you can find online, and essentially one of the things that they boiled it down to was that if your business doesn't yet have a credible plan to survive and thrive in this new ecosystem, then there may be less time than you think. Just ask your local bookstore. So I thought that was a really, really impactful comment from them as they looked at what Amazon and Amazon Supply is doing. So really, you have to think about how do you differentiate overall, and how do you differentiate against a competitor, a huge competitor like Amazon, or really even anybody else that you're competing against. And there was a really interesting book that was written by a couple Swedish gentlemen that found a lot of very interesting things. And I think the things that they found are very, very true in distribution. So what they found is that today we have a surplus of very similar companies employing similar people with similar backgrounds, coming up with similar ideas, producing similar things with similar quality and similar pricing. So what's really important and what they tried to get across was that how you sell is more important today than even what you sell. And that book that was written was called Funky Business. You can find it out online. Of course, through Amazon or through a local bookstore. But it's a really good read. And what they're really underscoring here is that you really have to think about differentiating yourself from your competition. It's also a really interesting issue of the Harvard Business Review that was done a couple years ago. It was the only issue that was ever devoted toward one topic, being sales. It was the single highest selling issue on newsstand in the history of the Harvard Business Review. And it's something that they haven't repeated, which I can't really figure out why if it was that successful. But in that, that sales-focused issue, they came to a finding that customers' buying processes have evolved in our world of ubiquitous, instant, global communication. But companies' selling processes have, for the most part, stayed the same. So, and I think that is something we all have to take a look at in our businesses, is that things have changed. You know, social media has changed things. The Internet's changed things. There's just so much that has changed. And if we haven't changed and adapted, then we might be in some trouble and really need to think about what we're doing, and really back to the topic of differentiating from our competitors. So a lot of research and talking with distributors, doing a lot of research on this topic, I put together some compete strategies that I thought were impactful. One is that, you know, if you don't have an online product catalog and online ordering today, you really need to start there. And you really need to get that offering out, unless your customer base just, that's not something that's important to them. I can't imagine many industries today that aren't sourcing product electronically at some level, but definitely if you don't have that available today, something you should think about. It's also items that are less likely to be sold by Amazon or Amazon Supply, things like gases and chemicals and so forth that have to be transported a certain way. They're not going to be getting into that industry anytime soon. I think that they probably will end up looking at those areas of distribution in the future, but it's probably going to be a bit down the line. So specialty items like that, still an area that you may have some protection from Amazon. Stock more parts and supplies and arrange drop shipping for non-stock. So, you know, one of the big things with Amazon stocking 2 million products is, you know, their availability. And that's obviously, as we know, very important to a buyer. So really taking a look at your historical item sales data and looking at what items you should be stocking and which ones you shouldn't be stocking will help you out in kind of deciding what stocking levels you should carry, and then arrange some drop shipping agreements with your suppliers so that when somebody does order something that you're not stocking, that it can be quickly shipped to the customer. Definitely taking a look at reducing costs really in all areas of the transaction itself. And that's, again, really where Amazon has been exceptionally successful, is that they've taken cost out of the transaction. So things like optimizing the warehouse for speed and for quick order fulfillment, cross-stocking, you know, to fulfill orders quicker. Of course, we talked about drop shipping, which would negate the cross-docking, but certainly something if you're bringing stock in to consider to get it out the door quicker. Also, rethink your go-to-market strategy. There's a company in California called Bailyn Corp that's a 40-year-old San Jose distributor, and they previously specialized in computer chips. And they saw the industry and the market changing, and in 2010, they refocused on the fast-growing oil and gas sector. And they're doing quite well. They're servicing oil fields, and that's something that Amazon is not likely to get into, at least initially, with their offering. So they kind of protected themselves from that competition, but really they differentiated. They saw an area of the market that was underserved. They saw that what they were doing was getting a bit commoditized and competitive. So they decided to reshape what they're doing, and have been very successful as a result of doing that. You can also become an Amazon fulfillment partner. So kind of the comment, if you can't beat them, join them. I don't know if that is appropriate, but certainly something you should consider. We did a really good keynote address at one of our events that we had around distribution, and Jason Bader from the distribution team came in and spoke, and he talked about Amazon, and he talked about you really need to be kind of on both sides of Amazon. You really need to be looking at them as a competitor, but you also need to join forces with them and look at becoming a fulfillment partner. And what that entails is that you'd be in their FBA program, their Fulfillment by Amazon program, and what would happen is that they would warehouse your products in their fulfillment center. It would give you increased exposure for your products on both Amazon and Amazon Supply. You know, they pick and pack your products when there's an order, and then also shipping your products out to the customer, including expedited shipping. They handle also the customer service and returns. And one thing that I've heard from people that are doing this with Amazon is that you need really strong IT capabilities to make the integration points that they require to be a fulfillment partner happen. So definitely something that you would have to have or be able to bring in to become a fulfillment partner. But go out and take a look out on Amazon or Amazon Supply about becoming a fulfillment partner. There's some good information out there. So some other ways that we're working with clients to differentiate overall, not just particular to Amazon, but really differentiating themselves and looking at how you differentiate from any competitor and really just stand out in your customer's mind. And one of them is better proactive account management. You really need to be razor sharp on servicing your customers today. You need to have accountability across your team to make sure that customers are getting the service that they desire today and that they need. And also taking a look at implementing something like a CRM system that's going to help you with all this, and then integrating that with your ERP system to build out full customer profiles that are going to help people better service the customer. I'm just going to hop over to our CRM for distribution application, and this is running, as I said, on Microsoft Dynamics CRM. You can see that when we look at a customer in our solution, we've got a tremendously deep customer profile here. So I've got everything available to me from their ranking as a customer based on dollars in sales or gross profit, down through all of these sales periods, year to date, last year to date. It's telling me if there was any variance here. It's telling me that we're in a healthy gross margin percentage, all the way down through things like open quotes. You can look at all of their dollars in sales based on items, based on vendors, based on suppliers, so I can get a really good perspective on what the customer is spending their money on with me today, and maybe even some cross-selling opportunities that I may have. So just looking at putting your data to work and utilizing it to better service your customers and to create a much better customer profile, because people like Amazon are definitely good at that. You really need to watch your profitability closely too. When you get into real heated commodity battles, that can certainly make the difference. And there's a number of different ways to do that. We offer a great solution inside of our CRM for distribution solution that calculates profitability and can even roll in things like activity-based costing that we're going to talk about in a minute. But certainly profitability, obviously, very important metric. Base it on net profit, not gross profit. Certainly gross profit doesn't begin to tell the whole story. And then one of the things that we found successful is to notify the outside sales rep if a customer starts to decline either in sales or gross profit overall. So there's some alerting that we can set up in our application to notify them. So we also have a module in our application called Cost to Serve, and this really became important for distributors back when the economy started to turn. And we heard from a lot of distributors back then that they really want a way of tracking net profitability rather than gross profit. And they wanted to roll in all the different things that have cost in servicing a customer. So in our solution, we offer a cost to serve module that lets you track costs from a couple different perspectives. One of them is down to the activity level. So we can define costs for the different types of activities that you typically perform in supporting a customer. So whether it's a return authorization or a verbal price quote or a sales visit to the customer, we can assign costs to those. And as people are entering those activities in the CRM system, those costs are automatically being calculated and rolled up to the customer. So the example screenshot here is showing us that we have sales, we have gross profit, then we have some costs, and then we have an operating profit. And that tells us kind of where we're at more from a net profit perspective, and includes a lot of those softer items of cost, like activity-based cost. Also, capturing sales expenses, something that even today some distributors are not doing. And when you have people going out and servicing a customer and they're incurring expenses, and when I say they're not tracking that, I mean up against the customer. I think most people are tracking those overall, but whether you're looking at that in terms of profitability against the customer record is a different story. So in our solution, we have a sales expense reporting mechanism that people that are servicing or visiting customers from a sales perspective can write on their mobile device. They can enter their expense report, take pictures of their receipts, and submit that, and that gets logged against the customer in the system. So over time, then, you're building a profile that includes the costs that you're incurring of servicing that customer. So it's giving a much better perspective on net profitability. Also, tracking competitive pressure is something very important to do that a lot of people I don't think are doing today, and it can really help you understand what the competition looks like, where you win, where you lose, and so forth. So in our solution, we have a great competitive tracking module that as you're working on a quote or an opportunity, you're able to flag a competitor and track that competitor through that sale. So when you close the quote or opportunity, you're giving it a disposition of won or lost. And ultimately, over time, then the system is capturing win-loss data and win-loss data against competitors as well. And it has some great reporting back to you on how often you win or lose business against competitors and the reasons why. So you can start to really take that into account as, part of your sales process when you're competing against a certain competitor. How have you been successful, or what's the threat in competing against them based on historical data? Also, providing exceptional customer service and support, certainly an area that is very, very important to any business today, but even more so when you're in a very competitive situation. This is probably the #1 way that all the experts are saying that you're going to be able to compete against Amazon supply is to provide that level of support that Amazon just isn't going to provide. So, Microsoft CRM and our solution, CRM for Distribution, has a phenomenal customer service and support module, and you're able to utilize that module in the system to provide exceptional customer service. So, things like call scripts and that you might want to embed in the system for how reps are to handle different situations and different cases as they're reported by customers. Things like service level agreements. So when we looked on that customer profile screen, we were looking at an A customer. That's our top level customer. So maybe you want to apply a service level agreement against those A customers so that when they have an issue, they're getting a response within 30 minutes. And the system has functionality to very easily do that and to very easily manage that. Using things like dashboards and KPIs to take a look at what is your service level that you're providing to your customer, and are you operating within the service level that you want to be operating within. So the system has some phenomenal capabilities around dashboards and KPIs to help you understand that and track that. Also, as you're performing support, I think it's important to track those issues from a customer down to the product and vendor level, which will help you uncover quality issues, which can raise your cost of transaction, right? So if you're constantly getting calls on a certain vendor's line because they're damaged or whatever the case may be, then your cost of that transaction goes way up. So getting an understanding of what products and maybe what vendor lines are most prone to issues can help you do some proactive measures against that. Then there's also some really good functionality that came into Microsoft CRM when they acquired a company called Parature. They have some web-based knowledge base that's phenomenal functionality, gives the customer an ability to submit a ticket right online, track the ticket progress. They have some mobile functionality and real-time chat as well to enable your customer support people to chat with customers over the internet. So kind of thinking about Amazon and Amazon Supply, they're obviously very good at the online presence. So thinking about these things are things that you should think about when you think about competing against somebody like Amazon, because these capabilities either already exist with them, or I'm sure they'll be adding these quite soon. Also, putting your data to use. We talked about that before. You have lots and lots of great data locked up in your transactional data in your ERP system. So in our solution, CRM for Distribution, we take that data and we put it to just phenomenal uses within the CRM system. So things like the customer ranking module, right? So we're taking all that transactional data and we're able to take that and as a result of analyzing that, give your customers a rank every night. So it's things like that that we're doing with the data that make that data very valuable and really in CRM becomes very actionable. So you can see here some dashboarding that we include in our solution, but just by and large, putting your data to use and understanding what's happening in the data is going to lead you to be better able to compete overall. So that was the content of our presentation today. I know that we're a little bit early, so I thought I'd open it up and see if we have any questions. Let me just take a minute here to go out to our question pane. So now would be a good time, if you do have any questions, to go ahead and type those into the question pane. We don't have any questions, so I'll pause for a minute here and let anybody ask any questions that might be on their mind, and if not, we'll start to wrap up. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining today. Really grateful that you took time out of your day to join us and talk about this important topic. If there's any follow-up questions or if you'd like to take a look at our solution, CRM for Distribution, feel free to get a hold of me and we can certainly arrange that. I'll go ahead and put my contact info back up on the screen here so you have that. And with that, wish everybody a great afternoon, and once again, thanks for joining us.